is our motto. And by our, that, oh, there, I see our little message up there, Karen. So it looks like we're doing something.
It says we're
Um,
live. Okay.
Yeah, I
it
can
says
say
we're
that.
live. Yeah, all
Yes, we
right.
are live. I look now to all our listeners. Zoom has been playing games with us, so we're sorry.
We're fun. We're used to playing games. That's the way it goes. We're that's I think that's in our charter of our show is playing games. We do
Yeah.
play Bluff the Co-host, and I am completely out of sequence here. So let me introduce myself first. I'm Paul Seaburn, your host of What in the World. As I said, everybody's favorite weird news show. Our motto: real news, sometimes strange, always funny. You got that. We're here every week on Tuesday at 3:30 Eastern Daylight Time, bringing you the finest in strange news from around the world, sometimes around the solar system, around the galaxy. No politics, no business, no religion, only weird, strange stories from wherever I can find them, under rocks, the internet, which I think is the same thing. Uh, so that's why you join us. If you're a regular listener, we welcome you back. If you're new, please keep coming back. I hope you have a good time today. The voice in one of your earplugs is Karen Hale, our producer, media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, which is our platform. Full of great podcasts. So go to newclevelandradio.net, find us, find out how to download us, find us on YouTube. That's always big. Share us. I mentioned YouTube because we do have some photos that go along with some of the stories. So we'll describe them, but it's always fun to take a look at the photo. And again, if you think somebody else would like to listen to our show, please share us with them so that you spread the word. If you have a message for us, you can do that to me via Facebook. You can do it to Karen via newclevelandradio.net. If you're listening live, you can send us messages. We get messages from our buddy Mark down in Austin. I'll mention him later in the show, but he's a regular provider. One of those words, pick one of messages. Okay, and the other voice you heard in the other ear was my old buddy John Dinallo, host of What in the World of Sports with John. He is back in his home studio from parts unknown. He looks good. Hey, John, how are you?
I'm doing good, Paul and Karen, and glad to be back home and getting ready for a great show.
Okay, don't put the pressure on, John. That's
We'll
but
rise to the occasion. We will. We will.
we hope to have a good show every week. Um, so let's see what else do I do any plugs. So when you go to newclevelandradio.net, by all means, once you look at all the podcasts, please check out Yes I Can Coaching with Karen. That Karen is the same Karen who is our producer and media mogul. She is also our sponsor. She's a great coach. She's got plenty of great references. So if you need a coach, Karen is the person to see. If you're watching TV, get all the plugs in here. If you're watching TV and you like sports, check out the Panthers. Oh, wait a minute. I think their season is over. The Panther City lacrosse team, their season, they're out of the playoffs. Well,
Yeah, they got out of
congratulations
the playoffs. Yeah.
as far as they. I think there are friends in the lacrosse world. Our WNBA team that we've adopted, the Dallas Wings. I think they're going to be starting up pretty soon.
Yep.
So check them out as well. Okay, we got all the plugs in here. Let's see. What are we going to talk about today besides thanking everybody for being here? Fast food cologne. Who Fast food cologne from Kentucky. That gives you a hint of what the fast food chain that is providing it. Password is from England. So if you're looking to come up with some new password advice, new passwords for your electronic devices, or you're maybe you're concerned about security, you might want to listen to this. Robots and animals are taking over the world, not necessarily together. We're going to talk about that. The worst in new fashions from Paris. You get everything on What in the World. We give fashion advice, we give food advice, we give technical advice. So you're just going to have to listen to this story. This is for John. You know how much John loves Bigfoot. I've got a story about a vampire Bigfoot from North Carolina. Weird
That sounds
combination there.
different. That sounds different.
Yeah.
A vampire? Yeah, really. Okay.
Oh, with a photo, John. So
Oh,
be
okay.
ready. Also, some new Loch Ness monster sighting. All of a sudden, the Loch Ness monster sightings have picked up this year. So we got a couple of those. We got a bunch of more odd news. We've got some world records. So stick around for those. We've got trivia. John's got a great strange sport for us from our buddy Mark down in Austin. So I want to thank him for providing that for us. He sent me a note today. He said he was listening to the last week's show while walking on his treadmill, or it's the thing. It's the combination treadmill with the ski poles on it, whatever that machine is called. I don't know. I don't go to the gym. Oh, and then of course we play everybody's favorite weird news game, Bluff the co-host. So we got all that out of the way. Let's get right to it. Fast food cologne. We've talked about fast food cologne on this show before. I think McDonald's came out with some. Well, now KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, has come out with cologne that smells like one of their products. Allegedly, okay? Allegedly. Let's take a look here. I lost my, oh, there it is. See how we get, there's our logo. And let's see, there's our cologne. So they've
Number
released it.
11.
It's a nice bottle. It's called Number 11 Eau de Barbecue, or BBQ, which we figured out. Okay, we know what that means. So number 11, not number what is that? Chanel number 5, or
Chanel number 5, right?
Yep.
Do you understand the numbers on cologne? Does it mean anything, or is it all marketing?
That's a good question. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, they call theirs number 11, and I was thinking they call it barbecue, and if I'm eating at KFC, all I really want is some kind of smell that covers up the smell of the KFC on my fingers, because you never lick it all off, no matter how hard you lick, and you still smell like it, even with the wet, moist towelettes and all that. But so this is a barbecue scent from KFC, and they said in the ad that I read, it smells like charcoal and smoked wood. Now, if I'm in a KFC and I smell charcoal and smoked wood, I'm not going to go looking for a cologne. I'm going to go looking for the fire department, because that place is on fire. It doesn't. That's the only reason you would smell charcoal and smoked wood in a KFC. Now, it gets worse. This bottle, that looks like a giant bottle because it fills up the whole screen here if you're watching on YouTube. It's actually 3 ounces. 3 ounces of OD barbecue sells for $13.82. I haven't bought perfume in a while. I'm guessing that's a little on the cheap side.
Yes.
But yeah,
Well,
it's from a fast food restaurant. What would you expect? They advertise, yeah, it's cheaper than.
Let me offer something here on the number. Why it's number 11? Isn't a slogan, a significant slogan for a KFC is it's made with 11 herbs and spices?
Oh,
Very good, John. I didn't even
That's what
think
I'm
about
thinking.
that.
Yeah.
So that could be what's in there, giving it but the 11 herbs and spices makes it smell like KFC chicken, not
Right.
smoky
I
charcoal.
think it's a little bit of a takeoff on that. So, they're a little bit of a play on numbers here, so to speak, right? That's kind of what
I got you there, but they're obviously slipping something else in there to give it that barbecue smell, and we may not want to know what that is. But they said it's cheaper than the 5-piece nuggets combo, 5-piece tender combo. Now I'm thinking, okay, so let's say they're about the same price. If you take your date to KFC, which would she rather have? Would she rather have the 5-piece tender combo, or would she rather have a bottle of cheap perfume that smells like barbecue and charcoal and wood? I think she'd want to have the tenders myself. So sorry, I don't. But they try to salvage it at the very end of the commercial that they were using to promote it. They said it can leave you tipsy with hunger. Now, if you're tipsy with hunger, I think you're drinking the cologne, which you
Yeah.
shouldn't do.
Most
That
likely.
doesn't sound like a good combination at all, Paul.
No, John, they need to put that right on the label. Do not drink.
Oh,
Because
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Um,
you're at KFC, or worse yet, sprinkle it on the chicken. Oh, oh.
oh, geez.
So anyway, so that's our perfume story for the week. All right. Everybody's concerned about security these days. You know, AT&T got hacked into, and billions of social security numbers and email addresses and what else has been released into the public. So everybody's concerned, including the people in the United Kingdom. So this comes from the United Kingdom, their Department for Science, Innovation, and Technology, which, by the way, you know, federal government of the United States, why don't we have a Department for Science, Technology, and Innovation? I think it would help. But anyways, I digress. So they have passed a new law in England requiring phones, TVs, smart doorbells, and any other devices that you have to log into with a password to have stronger passwords. So there it's a law now that you have to have strong passwords to protect yourself against cyber criminals. And no one is exempt, no one. So that means if Prince Harry comes back to live in England, he has to use something other than his standard password, which is 2, because he's second in line. Now, so why is this a problem? Because most people use really terrible passwords. Here's one right here. This is a photo of a person's password written on their their password is PASSWORD 123. Password 123. Not a good password. I looked it up. The number one password in the world, number one used password is 123456, followed by admin, ADMIN, 1234567 8, a variation on the 6 numbers. If you need more numbers, there's also 1234567 8 9. Password, obviously, we just mentioned that. 000000. I think that's John's password, so you better change it now, John.
No, it's not. I'm gonna deny that.
And user is another password. So I'm all worried now. So I get one of those free password generators that you see advertised on the internet all the time. A free password generator. I didn't read it carefully, so I put it on. I said, "Give me a password," and it gave me a password, FREE. That's what it was. Pay for it. Don't get the free one. Give you FREE. Anyway, so I think that's good information, by the way. You know, if your password is user or 5 zeros or 6 zeros, you really need to up your game.
Yep.
Look at the top of the keyboard. There's all these cute little figures up there, % and the hashtag, and play around with them. Okay. Proof that we're no longer in control. We talk about this all the time. We're no longer in control of our lives. The password thing was an obvious example. So here's another one. Here's how we're being controlled by our robot overlords. We've talked about robots on the show before, especially robotic animals. So I posted this story on Facebook earlier this week, and boy, did I get the comments. So I knew it was perfect for this show. And it's a local story as well. So this is from a local company by the name of Throw Flame. So that gives you a hint of what we're about to hear about. They're selling a robot dog called the Terminator. Here's a photo of the Terminator right here. The Terminator is the world's first flame-throwing robot dog, capable of delivering, this is from the ad, on-demand fire anywhere. And if you're not looking at the picture right now, it's a robot dog with no head, has a flamethrower on its back with flames shooting all the way across my screen. So that must be 40 or 50 feet easily. Terrifying. Does that look scary to you, John or Karen?
Yeah, it does. I mean, in fact, so what kind of practical application do you have with this robot dog? I mean, what?
Good question. Good question, John. They
Go figure.
anticipated that question. Coming up, the company says the Terminator is not a weapon, which is the first thing everybody thinks of. But it's suited for, and I quote, wildlife control, snow and ice removal, and general entertainment, which I think in general, watching it do a snow removal would be great entertainment. Although, I'll let you try it first, John. The
I don't know if that's going to go over, Paul and Karen.
it's the perfect thing for camp out. I was thinking this would be a great thing for camp out. That lights the fire, and it also you can hold your s'mores in front of it, your marshmallows, and make your
That's
s'mores.
true. Yeah,
Yeah, that would be a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Dogs are upset about this because dogs are thinking, now they're going to start being blamed for starting forest fires. No, it wasn't me. It was that robot dog from Ohio And the other thing, I like this ice and snow thing, the snow removal. We haven't had a really heavy snow in the Northeast Ohio area in a few years, but I can remember way back when where people parked in the street and they woke up the next morning and they could not find their cars because they were covered with snow.
Right.
And I'm thinking, oh, this is the perfect thing. You send the robot dog up and down the street, and eventually he finds your car, he or she. Except except I think once you gotta, it has to be finely tuned to stop as soon as it identifies your car, because otherwise it's going to set it on fire, and then you'll know where your car is.
Yeah,
It's the one that
exactly.
Uh,
So John, 30-foot range. That's what it's estimated
that's pretty
range is.
impressive, actually.
Well,
Yeah.
I was thinking of you right off the bat because I'm thinking, here's you in your hot tub. You could call the robot dog to go turn light your grill for you. You don't even have to get out of the hot tub.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that would be a plus. Yeah, that would be a plus.
So take a guess. How much do you think this fine robotic Terminator cost?
I'm going to say $6,000.
$6,000. You were low, so you would not be eliminated on The Price is Right. The actual retail price, $9,420. But they recommend that you get two. One, the Terminator, and also the new model they're working on, which shoots water, because they know what you're going to do. You're going to start fires and call the other, put out whatever damage it does. The best line, though, and everybody picked up on this, is it is not a weapon. Give me a break. Of course it's a weapon. If it's not a weapon, I want to see their books, because I guarantee if it's not a weapon, women will buy it. If it is a weapon, women won't buy it. I think that's pretty much the dividing
This
point.
is like it could burn down the forest it's in.
Yeah, I mean, it's impractical, unsafe at any speed or any temperature. Nobody should have one of these things. I'm sorry, even though it's all an Ohio company, Throw Flame. What a name. Anyways, you're right, Karen. It's let's move on. Okay, so it's not just robots that are taking over the world, and we've talked about something else that's taking over the world, mostly in Southeast Asia. But boy, it'll happen here. It's going to happen here in Florida as well, and that is monkeys. Monkeys are taking over Southeast Asia, and they're slowly taking over Florida. And if you want proof, here's the next story. This comes from Laburi, Thailand. People in this city are very upset because it's overrun with wild monkeys roaming through the town, and the government officials won't do anything about it. People did. Instead of voting them out of office, they put up posters all over the place, putting up pictures of the political figures and demanding that they do something about the monkeys. So what do you think happened? One night they put the posters up. One day, the next morning they wake up, monkeys had torn down all of the posters. Here's a picture of these two monkeys hanging from the posters. They're tearing it down. so now they came up with an idea on how to get rid of the monkeys. If they're so good at tearing down political posters, they called up politicians in the United States and they said, "Hey, we got the perfect campaign workers for you. You can pay them in bananas, and they'll go around and tear down all your competitors' signs." What do you think? I think that's a perfect idea.
Wow.
Anyways, the reason why they have the monkeys there, for those of you who haven't been keeping up on this big story, is that they're a tourist attraction. Which, we live in Cleveland, Ohio. That's the same reason why we keep polkas in Cleveland. They're a tourist attraction. Now I have to apologize to all of our Cleveland listeners. It's a joke. I love polkas. I love polkas. I tell people when they come to visit. My cousin came to visit a couple weeks ago, and I said, we cover the gamut in Cleveland when it comes to music. You can either go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or you can go to the Polka Hall of Fame, because believe it or not, we have both. And here's a picture of the sign in front of the Polka Hall of Fame over in Euclid, Ohio, just on the east side of Cleveland. Now, for those of you who can't see the sign, it's the Polka Hall of Fame isn't doing too well, so they're sharing the building with another Hall of Fame, the Slow Pitch Softball Hall of Fame. So when you drive by the sign, it says on one side and it says softball on the other. But as someone who played slow pitch softball, and John, I know, played slow pitch as well, that one also seems pretty interesting to me. But as a former accordion player, and I guess playing the accordion is like riding a bicycle. You keep falling off. There's I'd be interested in seeing this big room full of piano key accordions here. So the National Cleveland Style Polka Hall of Fame opened in 1987 by musicians who were upset because the polka wasn't being given the respect that they felt that was due. Obviously, they were polka musicians. And the Cleveland polka is the Slovenian style polka. So Melania Trump, by the way, who's Slovenian, would be a fan of going there if she ever comes to Cleveland. I'd take her there. So the Slovenians, there's also the Polish and there's the Slovak. There's all different kinds of polkas, but this is the Slovenian. And it's in an old Slovenian neighborhood. Many of my relatives that married into Slovenian families have lived over there on the east side. It has audio exhibits, historic photos, original instruments. We're looking at a bunch of different kinds of accordions here. They have over 6,000 vintage vinyl recordings of polka music, dating back to 1913. So not long after the recording industry started, they were recording polka music. If you don't know Slovenian, just remember Frankie Yankovic. Frankie Yankovic is the greatest name in Slovenian polka history. Not related to Weird Al Yankovic. And each one of them likes to point that out because they don't want to be associated with the other one. In 19 Yeah, so I looked up Frankie Yankovic. I thought I knew everything there was to know about Frankie Yankovic. In 1986, he was awarded the very first Grammy ever awarded for polka music. He got the best polka recording. So in 1986, that's when the polka joined the Grammy Awards. Not only did he record with his band, he also recorded with country music star Chet Atkins and Don Everly of the Everly Brothers. They recorded a song with him. He recorded a version of the Too Fat Polka, which was his signature polka, with comedian Drew Carey singing along. And it was one of my favorite songs on Drew Carey's show, the Drew Carey Show, played in Cleveland polka style. So to link it to our previous story, I was going to stop it right there. But then I read the next thing that they wrote on Wikipedia, my source for half of this stuff, Wikipedia, which said that Frankie Yankovic served in World War II, which makes it about right. His job in World War II, he was in the infantry as a, get ready for this, a flamethrower operator.
Oh, wow.
What a coincidence. He was
Wow.
a flame. Now, it gets better. He fought in the Battle of the Bulge, and he had during that time, he didn't have his flamethrower, and he suffered from a severe case of frostbite, which nearly required amputating his hands and his feet, which would have ruined his music career. But he was able to, yeah, he went to the hospital and was able to recover from the gangrene that had set in. So he got out of the hospital, and they shove him back out into the army again. You know, they don't they send him home. This is World War II; it's not over yet. So he got together with 4 other musicians, and they formed a polka band, and they entertained the troops while they were in Germany. So polkas helped win the war. How about that, John?
Well, that's a little known fact, Paul. Glad you brought that to our attention.
Yeah. So, and Cleveland's the home of the Polka Hall of Fame. All right, let's go to some history. John is our history buff here. Archaeologists digging at George Washington's home. George Washington's home is where, John?
Mount Vernon.
Mount Vernon. There you go. Let's we'll give you a horn for that one.
Okay.
It beats getting KFC cologne, John. Trust me.
There you go.
So archaeologists are digging at Mount Vernon, and they start to see a jar coming out of the dirt, and then they see another jar. They found 2 jars fully intact, sealed with something inside, buried underneath the floor, and they estimated in the 1770s when George Washington still occupied the home. They opened the bottles, and there were cherries inside the bottle, and they could preserved enough that they could identify that they were actually cherries. They said they were plump, they had flesh, they had pits and stems, and there was a liquid in there that smelled like cherry blossom. But nobody wanted to taste them because, get ready for this, they were afraid that the George Washington's cherries contained lye.
Oh.
Don't even ask for it. Don't even ask for it. So I was just thinking, I didn't study much history, but I remember plump flesh, pits, and stems were how George Washington used to describe Martha to his buddies when she wasn't around. But John, yeah, they had liquid in there. They said the liquid still smelled. They thought it was either a brandy or a cognac.
Wow.
And that, yeah, George may have used it for his own personal use, although he didn't sell it. You know, I can't imagine a president selling anything for profit. Can you imagine that?
No.
Okay, no politics. Okay, we'll move on.
We'll leave that one alone, Paul. We'll leave that one alone. Yeah.
Exist. Okay, this story. For those of you who follow me on Facebook, this was the #1 story on Facebook this week. It's a fashion story. It comes to us from Paris. Fashion designer Jordan Luca. I've never heard of this guy, but and I assume he's a guy. Jordan could be a woman's name as well. But they're selling jeans with, get ready for this. I forgot to put up the photo of the jars. There's a photo of George Washington's cherries. Not the dirty kind, okay? This is his bottle of cherries, all right? Get your mind out of the gutter.
Okay.
Or am I the only one who came up and made that association? Anyway, here's what we're looking at over here. This is the new fashion trend in Paris. Jeans that make it look like you wet your pants.
Why?
It's a great question, Karen. Why is that?
Karen.
Really? No kidding.
All of a sudden, Karen pipes in. The pants are the thing that killed me. They sell for $628 a pair. 620. You know, I knew a guy who bought a pair. He found his daughter had bought a pair of them, and he was so upset. He took them back to the store, and when they told him that they were non-refundable, he wet his own pants for free. That's how shocking this is. $628 for a pair of jeans that makes it look like you wet your pants. One store, the store got stuck with them, and they couldn't sell them. And then they realized that the display for the jeans was too close to the display for the pen. So once they spread them apart, people were buying, one or both of them. I'm not sure which. But again, Karen, perfect question. Why would you want to look like you just wet your pants?
I don't know.
Yeah, my thought, you're protesting the high cost of pay toilets. Maybe. I don't know. You don't pay toilets anymore. Maybe you want to advertise to people of the opposite sex that you're kinky. You're into water sports. Now,
That could be, I guess, right? Yeah. Wow. Never thought of that, Paul.
out there who are regulars to the show, the day that John calls me up and says, I got a great idea for what in the world of sport. How about water sports? We'll cancel the show. That's it.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah, it's a family show here. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
We're done. We're done. If we've run out and we have to resort to water sports. So anyways, I don't know. I have no idea why they would want to look like this. But they do.
Something different, obviously, right?
Yep.
I guess, you can go to Walmart and get for $10 you get a pair of jeans. For another $1 you get a bottle of water.
Yeah, right.
$11. Yeah. And you wouldn't. I hate to say that you wouldn't stand out in the crowd at Walmart. What is Walmart one of our sponsors, Karen? I don't think so.
No.
And they never will be either, I guess, after that joke. Okay. All right. So, John loves the Bigfoot stories. And I knew when I saw that there was a vampire Bigfoot roaming North Carolina, I had to have it on the show just for him. So here you go.
Okay.
And for everybody else out there who's a fan of Bigfoot or a fan of vampires, a Bigfoot researcher and a documentarian by the name of Kelly Lockman, and I've written about him for a number of times for Mysterious Universe. Kelly is the host of the I Believe in Bigfoot YouTube channel, and he found photos, and I didn't want to show the photos because they were gross. There were photos of animals that he claimed a Bigfoot had killed. Deer, dogs, a buzzard. Who kills a buzzard? But the thing that was unique about them was that they had bite marks in them and all of their blood was removed. So he's convinced that, and he wouldn't say where it was in North Carolina, he's convinced that the area is currently being run or terrified by a vampire Bigfoot. And I went looking to see if I could find a photo of this vampire Bigfoot. And sure enough, I found it. Here's a photo of the vampire Bigfoot right there. Yeah.
He's scary looking.
He's big. Yeah. he's a very imposing figure, to say the least.
That's right. So what we're looking at an artificially intelligence generated photo that I had for my Mysterious Universe article of a vampire Bigfoot. He definitely has vampire teeth. He's definitely huge, and he definitely has a red cape on. So I guess that makes him a vampire Bigfoot. Look at for those of you, this is one of those times when it's worth it to look at the picture. One of the complaints that we have about the AI generated photos is that there's always something weird in the photo that doesn't look quite right. So you can tell it's AI generated. If you take a look at the ear on the right-hand side of Bigfoot's head, it looks like somebody took a bite out of it. Like he just had a fight with Mike Tyson. And there's a piece missing on the top. Which scares me because that Bigfoot looks menacing, but if Bigfoot's afraid of Mike Tyson, that means I should be afraid of Mike Tyson, not Bigfoot.
There you are. There it is.
So anyway, he said the guy found another witness, a woman who had raised German Shepherd-sized dogs, big dog. She said that one of her dogs was killed by a Sasquatch that jumped over an 8-foot fence that she, for the pen that she protected her dogs with, and again sucked all the blood out of one of her dogs, twisted the neck. It's a terrible photo. So here's my fear: if Bigfoot can vault over 8-foot fences, and maybe it should be in the Olympics, because that's the world the world record for the high jump is 8 feet 1/4 inch. So Bigfoot is just 1/4 of an inch away from a gold medal in the Paris Olympic. And then, he would get a gold medal. He'd get a pair of wet jeans, I'm sure. And who's gonna? Are you gonna tell Bigfoot? Oh no, I think your foot draped over the bar, and that disqualifies you. Nobody's gonna argue with Bigfoot, so he's pretty much guaranteed to leave with a medal.
So it appears that the Bigfoot is quite athletic then, with that ability to jump like that, right?
Have you heard in all the stories we've talked about Bigfoot? I don't ever remember a story where a Bigfoot could jump that high.
No, that's the first I've heard of it too.
Yeah, that is a frightening thing if that's true. So and I was just thinking, what country would Bigfoot compete for? Would he compete for the United States, or would he set up his own country and compete independently? And if he did set up his own country, what would be their national anthem? Well, then I remembered to last week when we talked about Bigfoot, the Bigfoot's favorite song is "Hair" by the Cowsills, so that would be the national anthem.
Oh, yeah.
All right, this month marks the 90th anniversary of the most famous Loch Ness Monster photo ever, and that is this one right here. It's called not Bigfoot. There we go. There we go. This is called the surgeon's photo. This is the classic Bigfoot photo. It looks like a brontosaurus, big neck sticking out, the back behind it, the water in a circle around it, so it looks like the Bigfoot just came out of the water. Black and white, 90 years ago. 1934, I believe, is when this was taken. It's called the surgeon's photo because it was allegedly taken by a London gynecologist by the name of Robert Wilson. And to this day, people look at that photo, and that's the one they think of when they think of the Loch Ness Monster. And most people think that this is the bona fide proof that the Loch Ness Monster exists and lives in Loch Ness in Scotland. I thought, if a gynecologist saw it, he would probably say that it looked more like a stork than a dinosaur. But to me, it looks a little bit like a stork. So unfortunately, 20 years ago, so that would be 70 years after it was taken, the photo was debunked. And we talked about this on the show, that a guy on his deathbed confessed that he and his friend made this Bigfoot out of a toy submarine, and they glued the head on the top of it, and they pulled it. It wasn't it didn't have a propeller or batteries or anything. They pulled it with a fishing line underneath to make it look like it was in the water. And then, since they were local miscreants, they contacted this doctor. One of them knew the doctor, and they bribed him into submitting it to the Daily Mail under his name. Dumbest thing he ever did. Probably lost a ton of business. Although they wouldn't find out about it until 70 years later. And that's how it ended up. These guys kept it a secret. Unbelievable as that may seem, for 70 years until it was a death confession. Yeah. So 90th anniversary. Now, the most famous Bigfoot researcher that we talk about all the time is the Irish guy who sits in his easy chair in Ireland and watches the 24/7 Loch Ness Monster cam and ripples in the water. Ian O'Fadigan is his name. So he's got another one. He's got another one, and I'll just put the photo up here while we talk about it here. So fortunately, again, there's one of those convenient circles. So in case you can't see it, the actual video, the real size is on the right hand side. The left hand side is the magnified version of what has to be the sarcastically best photo of the Loch Ness monster we've ever seen here. He says that he estimates this to be an 18-foot long creature. Now you can only see 4 bumps sticking out of the water, so it's a serpentine kind of Loch Ness monster rather than the dinosaur kind. He claims 18 feet in length. He thinks it should be investigated because he found it, of course. Here's what I think we should do. We should give this guy, Ian O'Fanagan, the Irish guy, an honorary degree in gynecology, and then he could be the new the new surgeon. We can call these the surgeon photos. Then we can debunk all of them too. I don't know, John. I hate to steal your thunder, but what do you think about that photo?
Well, again, it's just too hard to make out. I mean, could it be something like that? Yes, I guess it could, but there's nothing concrete or definitive about that, I'd have to say.
There you go. You can't tell one way or the other. They're the way most of the photos are.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we have a second photo here. So John, you may be cheered up with this one. So Ian, he says, I noticed the spot in the water. My heart jumped because I thought this disturbance was not the norm. They're all not the norm,
Yeah, really. Newsflash.
I don't know why you're jumping. Go to the doctor. You need to go see a surgeon. That's what you need to do, and not to talk about the Loch Ness monster. So, to me, looking at these tiny little images and trying to extrapolate what they are, it's like watching a baseball game, which I know John watches a lot of. To think of this, John, it's like watching a baseball game and you're looking at people in the stand and you see someone buying a snack from a vendor, and you try to figure out from that tiny little picture what snack they're buying from the vendor. and it's probably a hot dog, but you say, oh no, my heart jumped because I saw he was buying London broil at the
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, that's not the norm either. So anyway, so a Canadian couple and their children were visiting Loch Ness as tourists, and they took a photo that looks a little more like the surgeon's photo. This is the photo here. Three stages of magnification there for those of you who can see it. Looks like a little stick of a thing sticking out. I'll say that. So Perry Malm and Shannon Weissman from Canada took this picture. Their children saw it as well. And the best part of this story is not the photo. We'll talk about that in a minute. The best part is they said that their daughters brought along shortbread because they heard that the Loch Ness monster likes shortbread. So they were going to stand on the shore with trefoils from the Girl Scouts, hoping that the Loch Ness monster's head would come popping out of the water and snatch it out of their rubby little hand, while mom and dad quickly took a picture of it and they could all be famous. I said, this is unbelievable. I never heard that the Loch Ness monster likes shortbread. I would have thought that it would prefer maybe a more waterproof snack like gummy bears or
there you go,
what
thinking
else?
logically again, Paul.
Exactly, John. What a mistake to make. Beef jerky, maybe. I would have thought maybe beef jerky or fish.
Sure.
Yeah. Or if it prefers to eat people, maybe throw some mummies in there, but we don't want to do that. So John, take a look at that photo there. It didn't need a circle on it. You can see it looks like a head and a body there. What do you think that looks like?
It's got to be in the category of that previous photo that we saw, Paul. I mean, it could be, but there's nothing that's clear cut to me that says that that's the Loch Ness monster. I'm sorry to say that.
I agree. So, but judge for yourself. Those of you listening out there, by all means, come and visit us on YouTube. Take a look at the photos, and you decide for yourself. If you think it looks like the Loch Ness monster, we can't prove that it's not. So next time you go to Scotland, remember to bring some shortbread with you. Okay.
Good advice, Paul. Good advice.
Okay, so now this was I also put this one on Facebook and generated some more comments. So this one comes from the UK again. Hilton restaurant, which are good quality restaurants. 4 Hilton restaurants in the UK are offering what they're calling the zero waste menu. What that means is they're trying to cut back on all the food waste in the restaurant. So instead of throwing away stuff that they may have cut off before, they're making it into other foods. So they're serving food waste and underused cuts of meat. This includes ox hearts, salmon cheeks, cod tongues, potato skin crisp, those are chips, and treacle tart made out of leftover sourdough bread. The restaurants are hoping to get 5 stars from a new Michelin roadkill guide. The Take a look at that. I found some food waste that restaurants throw away. I can't imagine eating anything made out of eggshells and stuff
So-
that's cut off.
I have to tell you something interesting as I'm looking at the composite of this picture. My
Yeah,
sister-in-law actually takes photography pictures of waste and sells them.
really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
And
And then
she
she-
sells them.
And she has a compost pile. So
Oh, okay.
she'll
Yeah.
she'll go into a restaurant and
Yeah.
she'll offer if they would give her some scraps, and she takes the picture. Then she takes all the scraps home and puts them in her compost pile.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I more power to her.
Yeah, right.
But she doesn't eat it. She puts it in the compost pile, which she then puts in her garden, which she grows things and then eats those normal
right.
things. So, cod tongue. Cod tongue. Who eats cod tongue? John, I don't know if you were there. I remember I saw cod tongue open for Hootie and the Blowfish. Come on.
I was
You
not
don't
at that.
eat-
Paul. I was not there.
Then the other one, salmon cheeks. Salmon cheeks. I thought I had to think for a second. Wasn't that a ball player for the Indians from the Dominican Republic? Salmon cheeks.
Oh, Chico Simone. Chico
Chico
Simone.
Simone. I knew you'd get that one. Chico Simone. And he's not from the Dominican Republic. By any chance, do you remember what country he came from?
Uh, maybe Venezuela.
Venezuela, close enough. He came from Panama. He was one of
Panama.
the
Okay. Yeah.
Panamanian players. Chico Simone. He was he played for the Indian, which with the Guardians were at one time. Back in from 1964 through 1968, he played for the Indians. He was a utility infielder.
Yes.
And with a name like Chico Simone, we all loved him. Just
Sure.
because he had such a name. Like every other player who's ever played for the Indians or the Guardians, he gets traded away. He goes to the Baltimore Orioles and immediately is on 3 World Series teams, one of which won a ring. That only the Indians and the Guardians does that happen to. Trade them away.
It seems like that, Paul and Karen, an audience.
Yep.
Yeah.
Superstars. Yeah. He was on a fabulous Baltimore Orioles team that won the World Series in 1970. All right, well that's a sports story. I think that's a good time to stop and move on to the What in the World of Sports with John Denal. A good lead-in. I didn't have any other photos. I couldn't find a good photo of Chico Simone, but sorry, Chico, if you're out there. The ball players. We should do more plugs for the Guardians. Maybe they'd sponsor us. What do you think, Karen?
Oh, they would be a great sponsor. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna pull this photo out here for a second while we move over to John. Every week, I ask John, my sports buddy. I've known John since college. He knows he's always been a sports trivia fountain of knowledge. He's a fountain of knowledge on all trivia, but especially sports. I ask him, John, find us a sport that fits with the theme of What in the World of Sport. Real sport, sometimes strange, always funny. John, finds us a great strange sport. This week, John gets credit for doing the research. Our buddy Mark down in Austin found the sport and sent it up to us and said specifically, please send this to John. I think it'd be a good sport. So, John, why don't you tell us about the sport, and I'll get your photos lined up here.
Sounds good. And thank you again, Mark and Austin, for providing this. This is quite a unique sport here. So our sport this week is very unusual, to say the least. The sport is called the Mesoamerican ball game, and it is also recognized by the name of Olama Zitli. Let me explain. Mesoamerican ball game has been played as far back as 1650 BC by the pre-Columbian people of ancient Mesoamerica, or what we now call Mexico.
Oh, okay. Mexico.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Right. The original rules of Mesoamerican ball game are not known, but the modern version called Ulama is similar to racquetball, where the goal of the game is to keep the ball in play.
Oh, okay.
Historians believe the players hit a solid rubber ball with their hips, which eventually evolved to also allow forearms, rackets, and bats to be used, possibly because, get ready for this, the ball that was used in play weighed as much as 9 pounds.
Wow.
So it's a 9-pound rubber ball that these people are playing with. Now,
wow.
Pre-Columbian ball courts have been found throughout Mesoamerica, as far south as Nicaragua, and as far north as what is now Arizona. The ball courts vary in size, but all have long, narrow alleys with slanted sidewalls against which the balls could be bounced into. In general, the games were played between 2 teams, with the number of players per team varying from 2 to 4. Some games were played for simple recreation, but many were formal spectacles on huge stone ball courts, which led up to, get ready for this, actual human sacrifice.
Oh no!
Oh,
So if a team would lose, or the losing team, I should say, would have to offer up one of its players to the gods.
I don't want to play this game.
Now, even without human sacrifice, the game could be brutal, and there were often serious injuries inflicted by the solid rubber ball. Historians say that some bruises were so severe that they had to be lanced open, and some players were even killed when the ball hit them in the mouth, the stomach, or the intestines.
Wow.
So it's a pretty brutal sport.
No kidding.
And partly as a matter of survival, the Maya then began placing vertical stone rings on each side of the court and passing a smaller ball through one to score. A familiar innovation had points being lost if a player let the ball bounce more than twice before returning it, or if they let the ball go outside the boundaries of the court.
Points were
awarded for hitting the opposite end wall, and the decisive victory went to the team that put the ball through the ring.
Wow.
Now, while the Mesoamerican ball game sounds like a challenging sport, we're glad they dropped the human sacrifices. It may be messy, but it's better to dunk coaches with a bucket of guacamole.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I like
that.
Dump a bucket of guacamole on them. Yeah, that's much better than a human sacrifice. Wow. But for those of you who are now looking at the photo, the ball is as big as the guy's head, and it's solid rubber, 9 pounds. I can't imagine
that's why they were able to use, like batons and bats and sticks or whatever, because it's just really hard to try to control that with just your forearm, or originally started with by players passing it back and forth with their hips, believe it or not.
Yeah. This is some of the photos show modern players, and
what they're wearing is their uniform.
Yeah,
In the pictures, some are barefoot, some are wearing sandals,
yeah.
and some are
Well,
wearing almost nothing.
yeah, they don't have endorsement. They need. They don't have a shoe contract.
Oh boy.
It's a what's her name, Caitlin Clark. She'd be covered from head to toe with all kinds of endorsements
Yeah.
for the female version of Mesoamerican ball. I don't know. Maybe I have a feeling, and I'm sure Karen will back me up on this, that women don't play this sport.
I would think not. Yeah.
I had one photo at the end here. Look at there's some little kids.
Oh,
There's
wow.
photos of little kids playing this sport. Oh, there's some women. It looks like they might be playing the sport. I don't know. It's if they are, they're using. It looks like somebody's using a volleyball, which would be a much softer ball to play with than the traditional hard rubber ball.
Well,
Uh,
one thing that also came out of the research I did, Paul and Karen, was that there's many variations of the game because it was in different cultures, and for going back to 1650 BC, again, obviously there's variations of all games, and there were a lot of different versions, and there were some versions that were played by children and even women that were again not so competitive. That was more of a recreational sport. For those people competing in that way.
Well, speaking of recreational, John mentioned that Mesoamerica stretched to northern Arizona. Believe it or not, it actually stretched at one time all the way to Cleveland, Ohio, where John and I went to college together. And John, I don't know if you remember this, but we participated in a sport very similar to this Mesoamerican ball back when we were in college. You remember that?
I don't. You'll have to bring me to light on this one, Paul.
Well, let me fill you in. We were, as usual, one of the other fraternities on campus challenged our fraternity to a game. And we said, what game would that be? And they said, Mesoamerican ball. And John, because John knows everything, he said to them, he says, oh, you mean Mexico ball. Now, very clever thing to say, which we didn't realize it at the time. And they said, oh yeah, Mexico ball. And John said, okay, you guys go get a Mexico ball, and meet us back here, and we'll play the game. And whoever has the biggest ball wins. So they go running off. I don't remember which fraternity it was, probably the Glee Club or Beta Tau. That was the name of them. So they came back, and here's the Mexico ball that they came back with. They came back with a ball of Mexican cheese, which, if you go to the grocery store, that's what it's called, a Mexico ball. Fortunately, John filled us in, and he got all the fraternity brothers together, as he's so good at doing, and we made a Mexican ball the size of that looks like a Volkswagen Beetle, if I'm not mistaken there. And we obviously won the competition. So for those of you who can't see the photo, there really was a ball of Mexican cheese made a few years ago, the size of a Volkswagen Beetle. We covered it, by the way, and I think it was during COVID, because everybody's got a mask on in the picture.
Right. That's right. That's what you remember, Paul. Okay.
All right, Mesoamerican ball. What a great sport. Thank you for that, John. And that means it's Bluff to co-host everybody's favorite weird news game. Rules are simple. I have 3 stories similar to the ones we've been talking about all afternoon. One big difference. Those were all real. These are as real as Wikipedia is. These are maybe real. They may be a bluff. And it's up to John, Karen, and those of you playing at home or on while you're working out to decide real or bluff. Wagering is allowed. So place your bets. John and Karen, hands on the buzzer. Let's get right to story number 1. A Buddhist temple in Thailand collapsed under its own weight, and now its monks have no place to worship. If that's not bad enough, the temple's name is the Temple of a Million Bottles, which is a lie because it was actually made from 1.5 million glass beer bottles embedded in concrete. No monks were harmed when the beer bottle temple fell, but they and the local townspeople are pretty sad. They're also glad because the abbot of the temple says he plans to rebuild it bigger and better with beer bottles donated by worshipers. So they need to start drinking now. Okay, so the temple in Thailand made of beer bottles, which collapsed under its own weight, but they're going to build it again. So start collecting bottles. Real or bluff? Let's start with Karen.
Wow, this is a tough one. But it sounds like it could be real. So let's, for the fun of it, say real.
Just for the fun of it. That should be the motto of our show. Okay, Karen says it's real. John, how about you?
Well, you know what? I'm gonna have to disagree with Karen on this one. I'm gonna say this is a bluff. I don't think that's possible, but that's just me. So
Which part? The temple or drinking 1.5 million bottles of beer?
I think both of them actually. I think both, both facts, supposed facts put together. So I'm going to say it's a bluff, guys.
Okay, John says it's a bluff. Karen says it's real. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say, get ready to make a trip to Thailand and see the $1.5 million brand new beer bottle temple. That is a true story.
Yeah. Oh, congratulations, Karen! Wow.
Oh, wow! Thanks.
They needed something to make it out of, and the most popular beverage was beer bottles. So that's what they did. So
Okay.
and they are rebuilding it. Okay, so that means the score is 1-0 with Karen in the lead. Woo! Those of you who are regular listeners know this has happened before, and John has come roaring back.
Yes.
So let's see. Let's get right to story number 2. Many homes have fake fireplaces playing videos of logs burning, but an outdoor equipment company is now offering a fake campfire for people who can't rub 2 sticks together or find a lighter to ignite a pile of wood. While it won't cook marshmallows for your s'mores, the rechargeable outdoor flame simulator has an ultra-bright LED display for the campfire, adjustable settings for romantic moods or raging bonfires, and realistic flickers to make those cool campfire shadows in the background, and much, much more. It's also waterproof in case a confused camper tries to put the flames out with water instead of the on-off switch. Best of all, it's approved by Smokey the Bear for preventing forest fires. Okay, so the company that makes fake campfires, rechargeable fake campfires for people who can't start their own fires, real or bluff? We'll start with John.
Well, this is a tough one also. I mean, there could be some truth to it, but it also could be a fake story. But I'm going to say it's real. I'm going to say it's true.
Oh, okay. John says that's a real story. Karen, how about you?
Well, I mean, you have fake fire pits, so you could have a fake, yeah, so I'm gonna say it's real. Why not?
Okay.
One more thing to
Why not?
sell.
Okay. All right. So Karen says it's real. John says it's real. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say, congratulations to both of you. That is a real story.
All right.
$39.90.
Yeah.
Yes, $39.95. Dick's Sporting Goods, I think, carries them. All right, so that means the score is 2-1. Karen is still in the lead, but everybody knows points are double in round number 3. This is one of those games where we will have a winner. It won't be a tie. So hands on the buzzers. Let's see who wins. Story number 3. Fans of the 60s TV show The Munsters will remember the cool Dragula drag strip racer driven by Herman Munster in a popular episode. That car is in an auto museum in Illinois, but wannabe coffin dragster drivers can get a new model in New York, where an auction house is selling a modern street legal casket car made from a coffin mounted on the frame of a 1928 Ford Model A and equipped with a hot rod engine, wide racing wheels, organ-style exhaust pipes, lantern-style lights, and a valid New York license plate. The owner hopes to get at least $25,000 for the modern version of the Dragula racer, but he may get more if he sees a tall gray man with bolts in his neck doing the bidding. Okay, so a modern version of the Munster's car, a dragster coffin, real or bluff? Karen, we'll go back to you for this one.
This has to be real because there's a lot of real weirdos out there who would buy this for more than 25,000. So real.
Okay. More than 25,000. Oh, all right. Well, hey, if they spend $600 on wet jeans, by the same people. No, I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend anybody. Okay. So Karen said that's a real story. John, how about you?
Yeah, I agree with Karen. I think it's a real story also. I think there is a market for that kind of car. So yeah. I can't wait to hear what the answer is.
I have to ask my buddy Jay Leno if he's got one in his garage. Okay. So both of you say the modern coffin mobile, $25,000 is real. The judges say congratulations to both of you. That is a real story.
Oh,
We'll want to do an update to see what it sold for. I bet you it sells for more than 25,000. I agree. There's people out there who
great.
love that. All right, Karen, perfect score.
Perfect score,
out of
Karen. Congratulations. Very good. Very good.
if I had that, I'd say you were on fire if I had my
Robot dog.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that means we reached the end of another episode of What in the World. I want to thank Karen Hale, our media mogul, co-producer or producer, co-host, all around great person, sponsor of the show through Yes We Can coaching with Karen. Come and visit her at newclevelandradio.net. Find out how to download us. Don't forget to share us if you're putting us on Facebook or anything like that. And then check out all the other great podcasts that Karen has. And just wonderful, all different subject matter. Fun, serious. You're going to learn something. No matter which one you pick. So newclevelandradio.net is the place to go for that. And then I also want to thank my old buddy John Dinalo, our color commentator, our trivia guy, our sports guy. Welcome back from parts unknown. Good to have you back in town. And that's all I got to say.
Oh, thanks, Paul and Karen. Appreciate. Thanks for the big welcome back, and looking forward to next week's show also.
There you go.
And
That's right.
Isn't this the weekend of the Kentucky Derby?
Yes, it is. Yes,
so
it is.
I guess
all of you that are going to be drinking mint juleps, just please be careful.
Oh, definitely. I thank you for reminding me of that. I want to take one quick note. I forgot to mention, John and I were in a trivia contest. John was our captain, and we were at our college put on a trivia bowl and invited all kind of alumni to it. And we had 5 old guys. I'm not going to say how old we were, but we were the oldest team by far at the trivia contest. Guess who won? The oldest team by far. The members
Very proud of you guys.
Yep, Delta Alpha Theta. We blew them out of the water. It was a
lot of fun that night. That was a great time. It really was.
All right. So again, I want to thank everybody out there. You're the reason why we do the show every week. I hope you have as much fun listening to the show as we do putting it on, and that's the reason why we do it. So on that note, we will see you next week, same time, 3:30 on Tuesdays, Eastern Daylight Time.